If an engine could talk, most of them wouldn't complain about mileage or age. They'd complain about something far quieter. Something invisible. Something slowly choking performance while drivers blame fuel, sensors, or bad luck. Right now, inside millions of engines, carbon is building layer by layer. Not as dirt, not as sludge, but as hardened residue baked on by heat. And here's the part that almost no one talks about. Many engines don't actually wear out. They carbon out. The scary part isn't that carbon forms. That's normal. Combustion creates it. The scary part is how most people try to remove it. In many shops, the solution is aggressive chemicals, harsh sprays, or quick-fix flushes that promise instant results. They look dramatic. They feel powerful. And in the long run, they often do more harm than good. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, engines quietly rack up 300, sometimes 400,000 miles without drama. Same physics. Same combustion. Very different philosophy. In Japan, mechanics don't attack carbon. They let the engine erase it naturally. Not with additives. Not with sprays. Not with teardowns. But while the engine is running, breathing, and doing exactly what it was designed to do. And once you understand how and why this works, it completely changes the way you think about engine care. Carbon isn't just a layer of grime. It forms on intake valves, piston crowns, ringlands, combustion chambers, exhaust paths. Modern engines are especially vulnerable because of direct injection, recycled exhaust gases, higher cylinder pressures, and low-tension piston rings designed for efficiency. Over time, carbon steals airflow, traps heat, disrupts combustion, increases oil consumption, and slowly pushes an engine out of balance. Throttle response dulls. Idle gets rough. Fuel economy slips. Knocking appears. Oil breaks down faster. Not because the engine is old, but because heat has nowhere to go. Here's what many people miss. Carbon holds heat. And heat is what accelerates wear. That's why the Japanese approach is so different. Instead of dissolving carbon violently and hoping it exits safely, the focus is on controlled combustion, letting heat oxidize carbon gradually, safely, and evenly. Carbon is carbon. And carbon burns. But only when temperature, airflow, and time are managed correctly. This method doesn't start with revving. It doesn't start with chemicals. It starts with patience. Before anything else, the engine must be fully warm. Not just coolant warm, oil temperature stable. That usually means 15 to 20 minutes of normal driving. No shortcuts. Cold engines have tighter clearances, thicker oil, uneven combustion. Pushing load too early creates more deposits instead of removing them. Japanese technicians are obsessive about this step because everything depends on it. Once the engine is truly awake, the magic happens in a very specific window. Not red line. Not aggressive pulls. Not quick bursts. Instead, sustained mid-range operation, usually between 2500 and 3500 RPM, held steadily for 20 to 30 minutes under light to moderate load. This isn't about excitement. It's about consistency. In that range, combustion temperature rises enough to oxidize carbon slowly. Oil pressure remains stable. Cooling systems stay in control. Metal parts expand evenly. Carbon begins to burn off microscopically, not in chunks. Nothing breaks loose violently. Nothing floods oil passages. The engine simply cleans itself the way it was always meant to. This is why Japanese highway systems, long rural routes, and steady driving patterns make this technique so effective. Stop-and-go traffic doesn't work. Short revs don't work. Carbon doesn't disappear instantly. It oxidizes over time. That's why the duration matters more than intensity. Direct injection engines, the ones most prone to intake valve carbon, benefit quietly from this method. Chemical sprays struggle here because fuel never washes the valves, and loosened deposits often end up where they shouldn't. Sustained airflow and controlled heat, on the other hand, allow deposits to burn back gradually across intake paths, combustion chambers, piston crowns, and even behind piston rings. And that last part matters more than most people realize. Carbon doesn't just sit where you can see it. It creeps behind piston rings. When rings stick, oil control fails. Compression drops. Consumption rises. Chemical flushes can wash debris directly into ring lands and make things worse. Controlled combustion avoids that risk. Burned carbon exits as microscopic residue, safely handled by the exhaust and oil filtration system. This is why Japanese engines often show remarkable compression even deep into high mileage. Not because they were lucky, but because carbon was never allowed to settle in the first place. Drivers who apply this method don't feel instant miracles. That's another reason it's misunderstood. Throttle response smooths out gradually. Idle quiets down. Knocking fades. Fuel economy creeps back over time. The engine feels calmer, less strained. Like it's breathing freely again. That's the Japanese way. No drama. Just results that show up months and years later. So why isn't this talked about more? Because it doesn't sell anything. No bottle. No service package. No dramatic before and after photos. Just discipline, understanding, and patience. Outside Japan, many drivers assume if they can't see immediate change, nothing happened. Engines tell a different story. Here's the real secret most people miss. This isn't a one-time fix. In Japan, it's maintenance. Taxi fleets, delivery vehicles, commuter cars, they repeat this process regularly. Often once every few weeks for daily drivers, or monthly before oil changes. Carbon buildup is continuous. Waiting until symptoms appear means the damage is already underway. Japanese mechanics don't fix carbon problems. They prevent them. That's also why oil changes matter here. Burned carbon ends up suspended in oil. If oil stays in service too long, contamination circulates. Japanese maintenance culture favors shorter oil intervals, even with high-quality synthetic oil. Clean oil supports clean combustion. Everything works together. And this method isn't universal. It shouldn't be used on engines with severe knocking, low oil pressure, overheating, or active flashing warning lights. It's preventive, not a rescue mission. Japanese technicians inspect first, then apply discipline. Never the other way around. Compared to walnut blasting, this approach looks boring. Blasting removes intake deposits fast, and stops there. It doesn't touch piston crowns. It doesn't help ring lands. It doesn't improve overall combustion efficiency long-term. One is surgery. The other is lifestyle. Japan chooses lifestyle. Modern engines actually need this more than older ones. Direct injection, EGR systems, thin oils, low-tension rings, all designed for efficiency, all more sensitive to carbon. Older engines tolerated neglect. New ones punish it quietly. This method won't fix broken parts. It won't reverse mechanical damage overnight. What it does is slow wear dramatically, stabilize performance, and extend engine life year after year. Japanese mechanics don't promise miracles. They promise longevity. And that's the real lesson here. Engines don't live longer because of magic. They live longer because of habits. Carbon isn't an enemy. It's a symptom. Change the habit, and carbon loses its grip. If this way of thinking surprised you, drop carbon in the comments and tell us what country you're watching from. If this video helped you see engine care differently, hit like, share it with someone who keeps chasing quick fixes, subscribe for more insider car care knowledge, and stay tuned, because the longest-lasting engines aren't built differently, they're treated differently.